No Wi-Fi in the Middle Ages. How did they survive? Welcome to Livano Chronicles, where we bring you the weird, wacky, and wonderful ways that people lived in the past. Now today, let's talk about what life would be like if you were living in 1325. Specifically, what would life be like if you didn't have Wi-Fi? Alright, we can't talk about what life would be like without Wi-Fi without addressing the elephant in the room. We've got a ton of Wi-Fi to deal with here. Forget phones, computers, and tablets, because your smartphone may be gone, but you still have your trusty old laptop with you, right? Wrong. Even if you time traveled back to 1325, your devices wouldn't help you. You see, Wi-Fi needs routers and servers. Without those, your MacBook Air becomes an expensive paperweight. Oh, but what about satellite internet? You'd think the fastest way to get online, right? Wrong again. Satellites weren't invented until the 1960s, and if you're thinking of using your cell phone, sorry, no luck there either. Cell service depends on cell towers and electricity, both of which didn't exist in 1325. Oh, so what if you use your iPad and tether to your phone? Again, no. Tethering requires Bluetooth, and that technology wasn't invented until the 1800s, so as you can see, you'd be out of luck. Even if you brought your favorite snack, you wouldn't be able to order more. You have to leave the house and go to a store to buy more. Whoa, what kind of crazy world is this? If you were in 1325, waking up early would be a must. No alarm clock, so roosters would be your wake-up call. Then after you get up, you'd probably head outside. And forget about manicured lawns. Farmers would have to clean up their own messes. You'd be elbow deep in mud, so put on some sturdy boots. You'd spend your morning milking cows and feeding chickens. But no worries, there's plenty of free time later. For starters, you could hang out with your friends and play games. But be careful, one wrong move and you could end up breaking some ribs. You see, there were no padded walls in medieval gyms. And it was hard to play hopscotch when the ground was covered in sharp rocks. So kids used their imaginations and played games with jacks and hopscotch. And as for adults, they spent their free time drinking and gambling. Oh, and don't forget the most important pastime, gossiping. Because before social media, people had to talk to each other to spread the latest rumors. When it comes to entertainment, you won't be scrolling TikTok anytime soon. But you could always watch some bread rise, that is, if you could spare the flour. But fear not, there were plenty of shows to watch. Alan the Bard would perform in town and his stories never got old. Or at least no one could remember what he said last week because his performances were completely improvised. Plus, the song stuck in your head for days. Luckily, there were other options. You could visit the traveling jugglers or acrobats or watch a pig assassination. Last one's not as exciting as it sounds. It's basically a pig race. Want to fix something? Sorry, you're not calling a repairman. Medieval people had to do their own home repairs, and that meant climbing onto a rickety ladder and nailing your roof. But if it rains, as it often did, your repairs would be delayed because nothing productive ever happened during bad weather. So you're stuck in 1325 and you're dying of hunger. Time to make a run to the store. Well, actually, time to make a run to the farm. Food production was a part of daily life. Chickens needed to be fed, cows needed to be milked, and pigs needed to be, well, chased. But once you round up some food, how do you cook it? You don't have an oven, so you'll have to build one. Now, luckily, cooking technology hadn't changed much since ancient times. So your time-honored recipes would still work. Unfortunately, that means no pizza. Medieval cooking relied on fresh ingredients, and there's nothing fresh like a freshly picked tomato. Wait, actually, scratch that. Tomatoes were imported to Europe from the Americas in the 16th century. So no pizza, also no pineapple on pizza, no pineapple. Now you're alone in 1325 and you're looking for love. Good luck. Asking someone out required a lot of courage and a bit of strategy. First, you have to catch their eye across the crowded marketplace. then you must work up the nerve to talk to them. After that, you have to keep your cool when you ask them to marry you. If you're successful, congratulations, you're engaged. But it's really just the beginning, because next you have to convince their parents to allow the marriage. It's too much pressure, you're single. And ready to mingle, you say. Well, that won't last long, because even if you don't meet anyone at the market, chances are you'll be wed by 14. See, arranged marriages were common in the Middle Ages. Marrying young also made sense because life was dangerous and children often died. So it was best to start a family as soon as possible. So you survived the Middle Ages and somehow you managed to live without Wi-Fi, electricity, or running water. And if you survived, chances are you're a better person because of it. You became closer with your community and learned valuable skills. You also realized how precious every moment is, because in the Middle Ages, you never knew what technology would be invented next. But seriously though, your toaster may seem like a luxury, but it's just another example of how our lives were made easier thanks to scientific development. So next time you feel like your life is boring, just remember, it could be worse. You could be living in the Middle Ages. Good friends, thanks for popping in. This is Livano Chronicles, your home of ancient tale. Till we meet again.